Okay, if your child has a 504, but possibly might need an IEP and the school refuses to provide an IEP, that school is in violation. That's what I'm talking about today. Hey guys, Jennifer Price here, a special education attorney based out of Pittsburgh, here to provide tips and suggestions for parents who are navigating this special education world. Certainly nothing that I tell you is actual legal advice or creates a relationship, but I definitely believe in empowering parents with knowledge and information. So we're having a story time today. That's at least what I'm calling it, because I'm going to use a federal case example of when a school has violated the child's IEP. And again, this is based on what the court is saying. This is not just my personal legal opinion. So you have a minor child who was diagnosed with ADHD and already had a 504 service agreement in the school. So once the 504 was in place, and then eventually the school conducted a reevaluation. So once the school conducted a reevaluation, the school continued to provide the 504 service agreement, what was already in place beforehand, but added a functional behavior assessment, or an FBA, which I can certainly talk about in another video if that's something of interest. But for now, I just want to stick to the story. So the school also wanted a functional behavior assessment to really just gauge the behaviors that were beginning to rise as the child was getting a little bit older, and see, what's causing the behaviors and how can those behaviors be addressed, and what accommodations can be included in the 504 to address those specific behaviors based on his disability of ADHD. So the parents, however, wanted an IEP. They felt like at this point, we've done the 504, we want an IEP. The school said, no, we already have a 504 plan, and we're doing an FBA, and we're going to address the behavior concerns determined by the FBA in the 504. So the parents filed a due process complaint. And they claimed that, their child's educational rights were violated because they want an IEP, and school said, no, we're not going to give you an IEP. So what did the court say? The court actually sided with the parents and said, yeah, the school was required to at least evaluate, right? So here's the thing. There are a couple different layers to IEPs and special education and the process by which things happen and progress. And the very first step in an IEP, in developing an IEP, is called the child find process. And so that was the theory that the court just looked at this case, and the court acknowledged that when it comes to child find, which by definition child find is when the school needs to find, locate, and evaluate a child who might possibly be in need of special education services. So by that definition, that places, according to the court, that places the burden and the obligation on the school. It is the school's responsibility to locate, find, and evaluate, and these are actual terminologies this is a terminology that's within the regulation, the statute. It's the school's responsibility to locate, find, and evaluate a child suspected of needing specially designed instruction or an IEP. And so because the burden and obligation is on the school to determine which of its students might possibly need an IEP, it was the school's responsibility to evaluate this child to determine whether the 504 was sufficient or whether that child may need something more like an IEP. And as a result of the school refusing to conduct a full evaluation to determine specifically whether he may need an IEP, the school was in violation and absolutely denied the child his free appropriate public education, or FAPE. I'm saying different terminology because there are a lot of acronyms in the special education world, but that's the sum and substance. And I did take some notes in that the court also specifically noted that even if the minor's parents had been content with having only a 504 plan. The school still should have sought permission from the parents to do the required testing, but failed to do so. So the lesson learned is, and what I hope the takeaway from this is to think about whether you believe your child needs more than a 504 and possibly an IEP. And if so, has the school really done enough and done the appropriate testing to determine that specific issue about whether your child needs more than just a 504 and actually needs specially designed instruction in order to help him really succeed within the school environment with whatever disability your child may have. So that is the story time for today. I am here to, again, provide tips and suggestions. I will be back in the next video. I hope to see you there. To your child's educational success.